Our next presenter is Shanji Xiong.
Yeah, for the people from out of town. So anyway, today's about the Experian R&D data labs, and then spend most of my time sharing with you the big data initiatives that we are doing right now at the data lab. So first of all, it's about Experian. Not sure everyone knows who Experian is, but I'm pretty sure all of you deal with us one way or the other. Basically, we are the largest consumer and business credit provider in the entire world. At the bottom here is sort of a comparison of us and our key competitors, Equifax, DNB, TransUnion, Axiom, and FICO. We are a global company. We do business in 40 countries. We have about 17,000 employees globally. And our business mainly have four major business lines. Those are the marketing service, credit service, decision analytics, and consumer direct. We are a big data player. In fact, we are a big data player for about 40 years, even before big data becoming a name, right? There are some other companies, they may claim they have more data today, for example, like the Google, the Amazon, the whatever, but 40 years ago, they're nowhere. When they are not in existence, we are in this field. We're doing this day in and day out. So this is sort of a rough breakdown of the kind of high-level data assets we have in America. So as you can imagine, the first thing we have is the individual consumer credit data. We have information for about 230 million people, and all this information gets updated real time every day. Whenever you make a payment, whenever you make a transaction, whenever you're late with a payment, when you come to apply for a new credit card, new wireless phones, we know that, okay? Because people are calling our data center to check on your identity, checking on your credibility, and we keep this information for the future use. Another big piece we have are the business information. We have information for about 14 million business. We are the second player in this area. DNB is the largest in America. We are the second in America. The next one we have is the marketing data. We have information for about 300 million consumers and about 120 million households. Why the credit data and the marketing data separate? Because of the regulations. Because the purpose they are collected, they need to be separated. They cannot be commingled. So that's another big piece of our business. One big piece of our business are the vehicle data, automobile data. We are also the second player there. You know, we have the history, registration history, repairing history for almost all the cars in America. The largest player is Carfax. Our product is AutoCheck. So we are the second one. Interestingly, because our business is growing every day, so there's one big piece of data is missing from this one, which is the healthcare data. We have a pretty sizable healthcare business at Experian, mainly created by acquisition. In the last 5 years, we bought 3 companies. They are the players in the healthcare area, Search America, MPV, and Passport. Mainly concentrating on the revenue management side, the payment, you know, making sure the doctors, before they treat the patients, they can have some estimation what's going to be the payment that they're going to receive for the procedure, and so on. And also, we have a lot of online data. For example, we track about 5 million internet users, anonymized, but ongoing. So we got this data from the network providers, so we can get sentiment regarding which websites people are checking, what kind of word they're searching, and so on. So this is a breakdown of our major data assets. I was trying to find a similar plot for the global data assets. I didn't find none within the company, simply because globally that's too dynamic. Every day we are entering into new markets and we are collecting new data. It's really hard to quantify that one. But overall, the three major regions we play are North America, South America, and Europe. Asia Pacific, it's relatively small. about 4 years ago, Experian, our COO, who got the vision is that we are a good data provider, but how about we hire the best scientists that we can find, and then provide them the access to all our data assets and the best tools we can find. Putting them together, give them no P&L responsibility, just give them the task of innovating. See what we can come out of that. So that's the creation of the Experian R&D Data Lab. It's located in San Diego. I was the first hire for the R&D Data Lab as the chief scientist. I hired a team of scientists. So we have been doing this for about 4 years. About a year ago, 3 years after we created this organization, our board looked at the results, they like what they see. So about a year ago, they made a decision, they are going to triple down the investment. So because of that, we created 2 more organizations, similar organizations, one in London to cover Europe, another one in Sao Paulo to cover South America. So that's a high-level mission and the makeup of the team. So one major task for the data lab is try to be forward-thinking, to look at what data assets are emerging that's going to have the most profound impact to marketing, to credit risk management, to fraud detection, and try to be a player there. So I have one question for the audience. What do you think are the most promising data assets that's emerging, that reveals a lot about individual and also about the business, by which means we are generating a lot of data every day? Okay?
Mobile devices.
Absolutely, that's number 1.
Average about 1 terabyte per person per year.
Yeah. What's the number 2?
Good question. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true, but that one is not on our list because those sensors, yeah, that's a good one, but that's not on our list because of the limitations, how we can get that data, whatever. The next one is the social media data, web. You know, what are you doing on the web? Everyone is doing something, every business is doing something. We need to be a player there. What's the third thing for consumer? The third thing is what you buy. We are all have a credit card. We're doing all these transactions. All these are saying a lot about us. So understandably, those are the 3 areas we have been concentrating on: the mobile data, the social media data, and credit card and the debit card transaction data. So try to get our hands on this data to see what kind of insight, what kind of information we can get from this kind of data. So each data sets are sort of unique in terms of usefulness and also the challenges of making use of the data. Some of the challenges are technical. Those tend to be easier to address. Some of them are legislative, right? It's a legal requirement. That's very messy because from country to country it's different. For a given country, the legislation keeps changing, the privacy protection, this and that. So let's talk about, I'm going to cover all 3, so give you a high-level sense of what we're doing, what are the challenges we are facing, and what are the observations we have, okay? So first of all, it's the social media data. Right now, this is becoming very, very trendy in terms of using social media data to try to make a prediction of personal credit risk and business credit risk. Because the data is there, readily available, you know, you just grab data, you do it. The problem in America is the legal challenge. Because of the FCRA requirement, Fair Credit Lending Act, we are not allowed to use the social media data to make credit decisions on individuals. But in America, we can use the social media data to make decisions on business. Small businesses, you try to get a loan, everything's fair game because individual consumer and the small businesses, they're treated differently. But outside of US, everything's fair game, okay? And I can see almost, if we look at Russia, we look at China, almost all these online e-merchants, they are emerging as the leading credit bureau. Chinese government recently, they are releasing 10 licenses, allow 10 companies to becoming credit report agency. One of them, undoubtedly, is Alibaba, because they have information, people's online transaction, purchasing information for about 500 million Chinese. So imagine the power of that data, right? But in US, that's a no-no, but we explore this data for making credit decisions on business. Same thing is happening. So in Southern California, in LA, there's one company, I don't know if you know or heard about that. It's called Zest Finance. It's funded by the former CIO of Google. So that company specializes in using this kind of data making credit decisions. I don't think it will fly in America, at least in the near term, unless the government changes the regulation. But they are emerging as a big player in other countries, China, Europe, Turkey, Russia, because there's no credit bureau, there's a website, you can collect a lot of information about people's browsing activity, what people are saying about this guy, you can make, using this information, making a lending decision, okay? So once the social media data, those are sort of details, less important. Those are some of the performance results. So for the US business here, we can segment them into different segments. The business, we have enough credit information. The people, we have very little information. Business, for example, like a new business, small business. Then as you can imagine, the incremental power of the social media data is really relative to which population you're talking about. For the population, you have little financial information, social media data will be tremendously helpful. For the ones you have a lot of, for example, taking Microsoft or IBM, trying to predict how well they're going to do, social media data won't help that much because you know so much about this company already, right? So the main challenges of using the social media data, at least in America, is the right to the data. For a prototyping, for analysis, that's no problem. You can set up a code using API or scripting, collecting some data. But as a company, especially company of Experian size, it's a no-no. So we are not allowed to develop any product using the data we script on. So we have to talk to all these big players, Facebook, Yelp, to buy the data. And as you can imagine, all of them demanding pretty sizable check in order to give us the right to the data. But we are making progress. We are talking with them. Partnership. The revenue sharing, all kinds of things. So the next one is about the mobile data. As you can imagine, we all carry a cell phone. Right now, almost every cell phone, we all have a lot of apps on. Signals has been sending out because the tower need to know where the device is, so they can decide which tower would relay the message to us. So in return, they record our location almost minutes by minutes. That's a tremendous amount of data, and there's a lot of information about what we are doing. The challenges here is a few challenges. One is volume. You can see the data set is huge. A device, minute by minute location, the amount of data is huge. The second one is the data, surprisingly, is not that accurate. It's really depending on what's the use case. If it's just, high level, how people are traveling to work, from where to work, for urban planning, good enough. Because off by 500 meters, whatever, no big deal, right? When you try to make individual level decisions, which ad we serve to this person, which store they are visiting. They are in this mall, but in this mall there's a Walmart, there's a Target. Which store are they really at? Accuracy becomes important. And also, there's a lack of consistency or the protection of the privacy because government has a lot of rules, regulations. Unless you are opt-in, a consumer is opt-in, they are not allowed to share the individual information. So there's no PII, personal identifiable information, is only a device ID. Even the device ID, the wireless companies are required. It's not really a government requirement. It's more like an industry self-organizing organization. They say, hey, when we release this data, we need to rehash the ID periodically. So there's no way people can link up the ID to build a historical picture. So there's a challenge. This picture meant to show you some of the accuracy issue. This is in San Francisco area of a snapshot of sighting information. So where are people? So you can see there's a lot of street lights there. It's not like people are lining up in long lines, waiting for something. This is just the inaccuracy because depending on the geographical location of the tower, they are triangulating the location of the device. They have certain algorithms. So if only one tower are picking the signal, they just assume everyone is along this line. So there's a lot of accuracy issues. The situation is going to change because with Wi-Fi more and more popular, more readily available, the accuracy is much better. Right now, today, we work with 3 of the top 4 mobile carriers in America, and everyone's accuracy is a little bit different, depending on the algorithm they use and also depending on the location of their tower. But in general, the accuracy is about 500 feet. So when they say you are here, they give you light long at any moment, but that light long could be off by that much. So anyway, this is just one example. There's one particular device. We know the light long sequentially at any point of time. Then we can create heat maps for this particular individual to see what's their activity center. Because we all have certain activity centers, right? We all go home at night. So not surprisingly, with this data, we can pretty accurately identify where's the home address. Not exactly to the exact address, but at least at the zip 9 or zip 5 level. Then we know, are you living in an affluent area or poor area, whatever. And also, we can fairly accurately figuring out, are you at work? Because you regularly go to certain place, or you are really self-employed, or you are really stay home, you are doing a lot of shopping, and what time you're shopping around, right? So we can build, from this one, we can generate a lot of attributes not about the individual, but by the device. Are you a shopper? Where are you shop at? Are you a sports fan? And what kind of sports you like to play? And all these informations will be helpful, at least for the marketing area, because those are the marketing attributes. When you generate the marketing list, give me people who are Padre fans and they live in this kind of area with that kind of income, then we can get the information. The next one is really the card transaction data. So we all spend a lot, and right now, more and more people are using credit card or debit card. And that data alone tells us a lot about you. So we built several solutions that are in production today. One of the top 5 banks are using, and we are talking with 3 other top 5 banks about this solution. One particular solution is about segmentation, because we look at everyone's credit card transaction, try to put them into different groups. What kind of people are we dealing with? And for this particular exercise, we used some technologies that the online company use for the document classification. We use that to classify the people. Because when you look at the people's spending behavior, it's not so different from a document. What's document? Document consists of a collection of words. When you look at each individual, you look at each store, you treat that store as a word, then we consists of a collection of stores and how much we spend. So in that regard, people is very similar to the document. Then whatever techniques Google are using for classifying document, we can use the same technique to classify people. So that's exactly what we did, and we came up, with pretty interesting groups. This is for a particular portfolio of top 5 bank. Then you can see, the first one, they are doing 5 times more the child and infant wear kind of purchase, women's wear, and there's no nightclub. That's without knowing too much, we can fairly infer that's a young couple, just building a family. So the spending behavior tell us a lot. So there's more examples. I don't want to go through this. So anyway, we are really going out of this emerging data. At the same time, part of the data lab, we also work with other industries, try to help people to better use their data, to better understanding their data, and many times try to monetize the data. For example, the work we are doing with the mobile carriers, basically it's twofold. One is that using this data, how can we help the mobile carrier to manage their portfolio better in terms of acquiring the right customer, in terms of preventing people leaving, and also another part is try to get value out of their data and deliver to other companies, non-competitive third-party companies, so they can get additional revenue stream from the data they're collecting today. So that's also what we do, and I'm pretty excited to be here today to talk with all of you to see what kind of data challenges you have, and then maybe there's a way we can work together. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Shanji. That information is just fascinating to me. It's the same with the manpower, very interesting. One housekeeping item, after Will speaks, we'll have a bit of a break. We need to change out the electronics, so we'll have about